No, I just, I'm pleased.
What's the name? Johnny
I'll
Yeager?
get it.
It must be the son.
Yeah, married.
See how much
Johnny
time.
Yeager had.
Now, Buffalo Bill of the East, Alexander Winfield Yeager, was the son of John Yeager. John and Margaret Yeager were the two original people on the farm. So he was there. He was Margaret Yeager's nephew.
He's in our calendar, he's on a horse.
I remember Johnny Yeager. My father was one of that. He was, and he was,
Yeah.
Yes, he died in '56.
I think Jackie might have some good stories about that, don't you, Jackie?
About what?
About the Yeagers and Wild Bill?
Yeah, I used to ride horses up here when he had them. He had one named Barnum. It was very
Yes,
tame.
I remember
He kept
Barnum.
telling us it was from the circus, so we come up here all the time. And then I'd wear my jeans to ride his horse, and then I would hide my jeans because I liked how they smelled with the horse. And this lady who raised me that was working for my mother, she wouldn't like those. She would go in my closet and smell around until she found those jeans and wash them, and I'd be so upset because they were clean. But you know, you were saying something about Father Joe and the funeral director. Cozy Yours wasn't here that soon.
No,
That was the funeral director then.
McFarland.
McFarland.
Farland, that's who it was.
Yeah, but before Farland, it was Brockett's Funeral Home, and I think the funeral director's name was Fred Adams. And they used to have parties there, big parties, and everybody would get drunk. And they get some of the school teachers there, and one of the school teachers would get so drunk that he wouldn't know where he was, and they put him in a casket, and they put red stuff all over him and bandages, so when he woke up in the morning, he thought he really was dead. But it never cured him. My mother said that he kept on drinking till he was an old man, and his wife said that he couldn't find the bathroom at the nighttime, so he would pee in a corner.
Shows the strength of the spirit.
And then, you know, one time when they used to hang around with that funeral director there, they found a restaurant sign and they put it on top of Al Link's house on Woodland Avenue. It said restaurant, and then Forty didn't understand what was going on the next morning when they all came in for breakfast.
Was anybody around, or I mean, I don't mean you, but your relatives when the new church was built? Because my question would be, the old church had to get moved. One, how did they move it? And two, where was Mass celebrated until the new church was built?
Probably in the old church.
But it would have had to gotten moved. How long did it take for it to get moved? I mean, how did they move it in those days? Yeah, you know any of that
They would put it
stuff?
up on wheels and
Still move it?
using the horse and trucks and move it.
Yeah. Just curious about that.
They moved the building, the original church, twice.
Did they?
Yeah, they moved up to Meeting House and then from Meeting House to Boston Lane.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Of course.
Raise your hand, he's asking the question. How many people
I'll say
live on
it.
the Sunday?
I just look around the room.
Oh, he was terrible. He would rat on me all the time to my grandfather. As my grandfather was like a pillar of the church at the time.
Yeah.
And if I didn't go to confession when you're supposed to go to confession, he'd let my grandfather know. If I wasn't at Mass when I'm supposed to be at Mass, my grandfather knew, and I had a call the next day. I didn't have a phone. He used to come to the house and let me know that you have to get to Mass and you have to go to confession.
Barbara Baracus Macaulay, Sean's wife, said she really did not like to go to Mass when Father Slomsky was celebrating, because it took at least an hour and a half. And no air
I used to
conditioning.
babysit, dear God.
I had to giggle with her. Yeah.
Oh,
Gosh.
Well, he built what is now the shed, which is behind the church and a ladies' hall. It now has no walls on it. But that was supposed to be a summer overflow, a third building. Yes, because it was built with jalousie windows and a fiberglass roof. What do we call that? House. It was. So he only used it one summer, and he never used it again.
We used it for youth masses in the 60s.
It was hot. There was no breeze back then.
No, we didn't care. We had to have
And part of it was inside and part of it was outside.
Yeah.
To be, right.
Yeah. Come on, some more stories about Slomsky. Let me
Father
go.
Joe used to come to see my
What is
dad.
that
every
building
day.
built that we play bridge in on tomorrow?
That was built in 1891.
What's the one, Joe, Walter, I want to tell you the story. There was something done next to the church. It involved Gouldy Electric and Haggard. There's a reason for the saying, because until you asked me to. And it had to do with, we played bridge in that on Friday.
In Our Lady's Hall.
Like they made, if you notice, when you go in there, there's like an extension. You have the main room, and then there's another room to the west. That was added on, so that may have been it.
Well, the only,
Dee, do you remember anything about that? It was done before you got here? That extension?
the reason I bring that up is I saw Walter Gouldy after the mass. Oh, he did me in. I said, what are you talking about? Father Joe. They in Haggard. He gets up and during, you know, after, during, when you tell him, you know, the problem, the break between
Sermon.
Yes, okay,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
And he says, I want to thank Joseph Haggerty and Walter Gouldy for donating their work. Walter Gouldy said, I can't afford it. Oh, he spent,
What had happened here was, in the church, there are sconces down the side with the fluorescent lighting in. Father Slumsky wanted that put in. Walter didn't want to put it in. He said, what do you need that for? And he said that's when Father Joe lost it. And that's when he thanked him for putting it in, when he didn't want to do it in the first place.
Yes. Yes.
I'm laughing, but that effect, you know, that was,
It was hard for them, it was.
you know, they,
How about any of you who,
by the way,
oh,
you
sorry.
know, Father Slumsky, for those of you, look around the room, Rose, you would know.
Well, I was just going to say.
How many of you, I'm younger at the time, but Canoe Place Inn, he was not an unknown, he was not an unknown person.
Person
There
there?
was a
I
dinner,
am talking about during Prohibition. I
Yeah,
was
huh?
only 16, but I knew what was going on, because by the time I was 18, I was down at Canoe Place.
there was a dinner in his honor every year,
Yes,
30
I
years
know.
down.
Oh, my word.
Oh,
I was just going to say, getting back to Father Slumsky, and in the choir, he was very ill, and he was in the rectory. So we all got to the choir, got together, and we sang to him, and he was, that's before he died. I just thought I'd add that on.
Were you a secretary at the time of Father Slonsky?
We came here in 62.
It's cancer at that point.
Was that related to his death? That's what Father McGann was
Father
from?
McGann wants to know, from the choir singing, was that
I
Sue,
didn't
wait.
expect that of you.
What-
Yes,
Sue, you have to talk loud. What were you saying?
Don't think he used to do the bandages, but we came here, Father, as he had cancer, I believe, in 62, right? He had to wait time.
She's talking about 62 and doing bandages.
I can think of two things with Father. Father Slomsky, if he had someone saying Mass and it was too long, he started at the back of the church and started walking down the aisle. He never got more than halfway, and the priest knew he had to cut it short. But also, the Ladies Guild, when he was sick, we did the bandages for him. That's one good thing the Guild did.
That's great.
Yeah.
You guys know Gene, I don't know if you know, we should have introduced ourselves to each other.